Go ahead and call, please.
Commissioner Penny,
Here.
Commissioner Curry,
Here.
Commissioner Danio,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Villa.
And Mayor V is out of town tonight, so I will be sitting in as a vice mayor and running the meeting tonight. So our first rule of order is if you have any electronic devices that make noise, please turn them off or silence them. If everyone would please stand, remain standing. Commissioner Danio is going to do the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Commissioner Curry, you know what today is?
Flag Day.
Today is Flag Day, that's right.
Educate us a
That's
little.
right. And today, I'm here to tell you that there are an estimated 150 million flags sold each year. But did you know that there have been 27 different versions of that flag, and that the current version was designed by a 17-year-old high school student, and that there are exactly, or even 6 flags on the moon? And this country is far, what's that? What?
Are you sure?
That's what it said. If it's in the internet, it must be true. This country is far from perfect, folks, and there's people that's saying that we're falling apart and there's a lot of divisiveness and all that. But just the fact that I can stand here and tell you some trivia and share a small prayer will give you the idea, and that's a testament of how great this country really is. So I just thought it'd be kind of cool to just share that with you. Anyway, let's pray. God, we do thank you for this country that we live in and the freedom that we have. And we thank you for all those that are presently fighting for this country and all those that have, the first responders and the present and the past. And God, we just ask for a smooth meeting tonight and that you would give us the wisdom to make decisions for this great city that we're in. And we just pray for all those that are in need, and we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Told you, you're feeling always informed.
Okay, so our first order of business tonight is a presentation about the mid-year budget review. Susan?
Good evening, Susan Lincoln, Finance Director for the City of Holly Hill. Thank you, Commissioners, for entertaining us. The Finance staff conducted the mid-year review with all department heads. For the revenues of the Solid Waste Fund, we are on track with an additional $99,000 above the projected revenue. Conversely, the Solid Waste Fund is anticipated to have a deficit of $35,300, which will be offset by that projected revenue. Overall revenues are projecting to come in with a small surplus of 1.5% and overall 1.5% over the annual budgeted amount. Expenditures are projected also to come in at a surplus of 1.8% over the annual budgeted amount. The surplus in expenditures is attributed to timing of spend for the capital projects. So I do have an exhibit up here. As you know, we have a very robust capital project program. The top list here is all of the active capital projects, and if you scroll down, they're listed by area in color, and then as you scroll down to the bottom, you see completed projects. Scroll down a little bit more, Scott. So you see we have completed over the year a little bit more, a numerous amount of projects that are being completed over the year. So we have made a lot of progress on our capital projects. I think our budget is attributable to the hard work that the staff had done in last fiscal year's budgeting process to come in about 1.8%. I think they did a fine job in making the budget last year. Two things that we did find while doing the mid-year budget review, I identified 2 budget amendments that we'll need. One is the CESF grant for the Department of Justice for $7,784.70. And then 2, there was the FDOT aggressive driving grant for $40,000 that was issued to our police department. The current budget after the mid-year reviews are stable and require only minor amendments within the respective budgets. I do have a resolution later on for those grants to be taken up. And that's all I have, unless you have any
Thank
questions.
you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You have anything to add, Joe?
No, other than in that presentation is the capital projects update. If you get a chance and you haven't looked at it yet, it's good information to just see the status of where everything is.
Thank you. So we'll move to item 3, which is public comments. This is the audience time to address the city commission for anything that's not on our regular agenda this evening. Would anyone like to speak this evening?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Good evening, Commissioners. The owners of the Fountainhead project, located at 1200 Synergy Way, have requested to use 2,400 square feet of the overall 4,560 square feet of Building D only as a multi-use facility to include workshop and garage uses. Overall, the developers have completed 29,410 square feet of building space on the site, which is 1,410 square feet more than has been required by the PD for Phase 1. So the request is to use a portion of Building D for shop and garage uses, and this represents 8.1% of the overall building space that has been constructed on the site. Now, this would normally be considered an accessory use, since such uses are not specifically permitted by the PD. However, the Fountainhead PD does specifically authorize staff to approve as accessory uses those uses it deems to be ancillary to the overall project. Staff has no objection to deeming the proposed garage and workshop uses as accessory uses. However, because there have been many small changes made to this project in the past, all of which have been approved by staff, it has been staff's position that any further proposed changes would need to be brought before the Commission due to the fact that several small changes can cumulatively have a large effect. So the reason that I'm here is follows. One, to make the Commission aware that the Fountainhead project has requested to use a portion of Building D, which represents 8.1% of the overall project's building space for workshop and garage uses. Two, to let the Commission know that such a request is not unusual and that staff is not opposed to deeming such uses as accessory uses. And three, to address any questions or concerns the Commission may have. So staff is considering approving these requested uses as accessory uses, but because there have been many small changes to the project over time, I wanted you to be aware of it and to see if you had any concerns or questions about these uses.
Anyone have any questions for Brian?
I have no questions, no.
So as I understand it, Brian, we're just approving staff's recommendation because of, this is a CYA for staff, basically.
Yes, basically that's what it is. It's staff trying to get a consensus as to whether or not there are any concerns or objections by the Commission. Staff, the PD does give staff the ability to say, okay, these are accessory uses, and they can be part of what occurs on the site. They use the site or this area for things such as workshop, garage, employee hangouts, and other things. But some of these uses are not specifically listed. Staff can say that they're accessory. Staff doesn't have an issue with doing that, but staff has also made it known that any changes would be at least brought to your attention so that you were aware of it, even if there were small changes.
So you're looking for consensus? Do we have to make a motion on this or just
No,
consensus?
we don't really need a motion. We would just need to check with the Commission if anyone has an objection to what's been said, and if not, then you just move forward with consensus being in support of staff's request.
You had a question?
I just wanted to know if it changes anything for the future, I mean, with all the other stuff that we've had in place.
You talking about the incentive
Yeah, I
agreement?
was gonna say more specifically, I wanna know about the incentive agreement.
Oh,
That's
that'll
that's
come
all.
back later. It-
Right, that's
So
not a
this
big deal
doesn't
now.
affect that at all?
No.
You have two different agreements. You have a PD agreement, which is a zoning document, which is governed by, it's a quasi-judicial review, substantial competent evidence, and that document actually provides that staff can make amendments. Then you have a separate document, which is an incentive agreement, which is not governed by quasi-judicial standards. It's a policy statement that y'all have established. Staff doesn't have the ability to amend that. That wasn't in the agreement. So we have changes in the PD agreement, but those changes have never been approved by this body to be incorporated into the incentive agreement. And believe that once this phase of the project is finalized, then it'd be appropriate for this body to review the incentive agreement to see what needs to be amended in that incentive agreement to match up with what was built.
Then, Vice Mayor, I don't have a problem with it.
Does anyone have an objection to it?
I don't have any.
I mean, it makes common sense to me. I'm in favor. I think you have consensus. I don't know
Yeah.
if the applicant wants to say anything, but don't talk past the sale.
That's like to say.
Thank you.
You want to say anything, Jason?
Very briefly. Good evening, everyone. Jason Meyer, 1200 Synergy Way. We're pleased to be at this juncture with Phase 1. And as Mr. Walker mentioned, we just wanted to share with the commission what the final product was we'd built. And we tried to build Building D with some versatility in mind. So we do have it set up for workshop area, for storage. We do plan to use it for more than just that. We do have air conditioning in the whole building. And one side of it is set up where it can be used for classroom and professional space. And the workshop side has a finished floor, and it has a drop ceiling, as well as lighting and air conditioning. We anticipate that as we move into the next phase, timing could come into play. We may have to put some employees in there, so we wanted to set it up for versatility. So just wanted to share all that with the commission. And I believe it is in the spirit of everything that we've been doing, but just wanted to be very open and transparent.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't think we have any objections to that, Mr. Forte.
Nope, that's fine.
Anyone else from the public like to make any comments this evening? Anything not on our regular agenda? Seeing none, I'll close public comments. Move to item 4, which is approval of the minutes of the May 24th, 2022 workshop and May 24th, 2022 regular city commission meeting and CRA meetings.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Anyone from the audience like to comment on our minutes? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We'll now move to the consent agenda, which is item 5. The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless the city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll close public participation for that. Any commissioner would like to comment on anything on the consent agenda? Seeing none, entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now move to item 6, which is our regular agenda, which is Resolution 2022-R-38.
Resolution 2022-R-38 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2021-2022 annual operating budget, setting forth revenues and expenditures, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Good evening again. If anybody has any questions regarding the resolution, we had talked about this on the mid-year review. This is to establish the budget for the $40,000 grant that we received from the DOJ.
I think you just have to restate your name for us, please.
Oh, Susan Lincoln, Finance Director, City of Holly Hill.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission on this?
No questions, but I just have a really quick comment for the chief because it pertains to this grant. I just want to point out, we all got the report we were sent, and I sent him a quick email about it, but I wanted to publicly say something about it. They did 537 traffic stops, and the stats were for the 26th through the 31st of May. Out of those traffic stops, They gave 160 citations, but more importantly, they gave 400 written citations. So what I noticed in that is our officers are out there doing what we're asking them to do, but they're also out there doing what we're asking them to do in a compassionate manner, knowing the economy is so difficult right now on everybody, and yet they're still educating the public with 400 written citations, and so they're accomplishing the goal and still taking care of the problem. So I just wanted to point that out from the report, because that jumped out at me pretty solidly. So I just want to thank our police department for taking compassion, yet educating during these times.
Anyone else? Thank you, Susan. Anyone from the audience like to have any comments on this item? Seeing none, close audience participation and entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion necessary? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Now we'll move to item 2, Resolution 2022-R-39.
Resolution number 2022-R-39 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2021-2022 annual operating budget, appropriating Volusia County Echo Grant Award, setting forth revenues and expenditures, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Hello again, Susan Lincoln, Finance Director. On January 25th, 2022, the City of Holly Hill Commission adopted Resolution 2022-R9, accepting the Echo Grant Award in the amount of $2.5 million from Volusia County. This grant is designated for the Community Redevelopment Agency in partnership with Martin's Charities in developing Pictona Phase 2. The project is projected to cost approximately $6 million, of which the CRA is contributing $1 million, and Martin's Steve Youngst and Mr. Forte worked on submitting this $2.5 million exceptional grant through the Volusia Echo. So this resolution establishes the budget and expenditures for the grant that we received back in January.
Any questions for Susan? Thank you, ma'am. Anyone from the audience have any comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion for approval.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion needed? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Susan. Now we'll go to item 3, which is Resolution 2022-R-40.
Resolution 2022-R-40 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the comprehensive citywide adopted fee schedule for the City of Holly Hill for fiscal year 2021-2022 to include fire inspection fees related to building permits, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
It's a Susan show tonight.
It's a Susan show, yeah.
I was going to say, you're working overtime.
So, I just wanted to go over the building and permitting fee schedule. This is very similar to others, and it's actually quite similar to the building inspection fee that we have. So the initial inspection fee is $40, the second re-inspection fee is $50, and re-inspections third and subsequent are $160. I guess this was maybe, I'm not sure if it was overlooked, but we didn't currently have this, so this would be effective June 15th, tomorrow, and going forward.
Any questions? Anyone from the audience like to comment on this? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Johnson.
Johnson.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 4, Resolution 2022-R-41.
Resolution 2022-R-41 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving the non-competitive negotiation purchase of Veterans Memorial Monument from Cold Spring, USA, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Okay, so as you know, this is the monument that we have selected for City Hall. It is currently slightly over budget. We have contingency to cover the difference in the budget. And the purchase, as you saw, we have a shortfall of $37,600, and that'll be transferred from our $93,000 contingency reserves in the capital fund. So, any questions?
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Slightly over budget?
Yeah, it's only, the whole budget of the entire project.
The
is-
original budget was
The original
higher.
budget.
The balance of what we have left is in the 50,000s.
Right, so we budgeted
Okay.
$75,000 for the project, of which $51,620 remains unspent after the purchase of the flagpole and the pavers. The monument proposed price is $89,200, so the deficit of only $37,600 will be transferred from the capital fund contingency.
All right, well, the 51 and the 93, that wasn't exactly slight, that's what I wanted to kind of.
Yeah, that's the balance.
Any more questions?
No, I don't have any
Can't wait to
questions.
see it. I think it's
That's
gonna be
right.
awesome.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
I think it's worthy, and it's going to be an awesome addition to pay tribute to our veterans.
Absolutely.
So we still have two challenges remaining with this. One is acquiring all the names that need to be on that monument, and the other is determining what sayings are going to be on the two side monuments. So I know the mayor had talked to me a little bit about going around and looking to see what other monuments say and try to customize something specifically for the city. I think it might be a good idea to invite the Post 120 Legion to see if they have anything that they'd like to offer for consideration. But those two things need to get done fairly soon if we're going to go ahead and give them the okay to start production on that.
You want me to get with Commander Joe?
Well, shouldn't we probably
No.
contact the DAV and Post 120, since they're both in our city?
We can contact any number of people.
I'm just saying because they're in our city,
Yeah,
both
we
of
can
them.
certainly talk to, and they're just their thoughts, recommendations. We can take them from anyone, but ultimately this commission is going to make the final decision on what's going to be put
Right.
on that.
It's going to be permanent,
Set in stone, as they say.
set in stone.
Literally.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind, because that's going to be the next question that the manufacturer says, all right, you've approved the monuments, now what do you want on it?
And Joe, I hadn't asked this before, but I'm assuming that they can come out and add names if,
I
God
believe that's
forbid,
what
it's
happens. They
needed
bring a
on
machine
site.
out, and the machine will engrave it in, yeah. It's not something that you can pick up and move very easily.
Right.
So
Okay.
hopefully, God willing, we won't have any other names to add.
Thank you. Anyone from the audience have any comments on this item? Seeing none, close audience participation. Entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion since I'm a veteran.
And I'll second.
Maybe we should ask Mr. Johnson what we
Thank
should
you.
put on
I
there.
think a military veteran should make the motion, so I'll make the motion.
Okay. Any discussion needed? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Now on to Resolution 2022-R-42.
Resolution 2022-R-42 by title only for first and only reading. Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, appointing one member to the Firefighters Pension Fund Board of Trustees, setting forth the term and expiration date for said member, and providing an effective date. There is a blank in the resolution that needs to be filled with who you nominate.
So we received an application from Michael Moon, who I believe is here in the audience, and he is actually a neighbor of our Lieutenant Dave Bridger, and is interested in serving on the board. This position would be filling the unexpired term, which all positions expire in December 31st of this year, so everybody would be up for reappointment. So the staff is recommending that we go ahead and appoint Michael Moon to that unexpired term.
Would you like to say anything, Mr. Moon? Anyone from the audience like to comment on this? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
with the name inserted?
Yeah, I'm sorry, with the name. Mr. Moon, or however you want to put it.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you for serving.
Now we'll move to item 6, which is a request for lien reduction on 733 Akarima Drive.
Okay, so the entire code enforcement file can be found in the code enforcement office upon request if anybody is interested. The city received a request for a reduction of a code enforcement lien that has been placed upon the real property at 733 Akarima Drive. The property is currently owned by Acelia Holdings LLC as trustees only. An order of noncompliance was signed by the special master on November 24th, 2020. The order determined a finding of fact and conclusion of law that the property was still in violation of the IPMC, which is the International Property Maintenance Code, 302.4 for weeds, 304.1 for exterior structure disrepair, 304.12 for windows and doors in disrepair, Section 26-61, paren 13 of the City of Holly Hill Code for sanitary nuisance, and the property remained non-compliant until May 18th, 2022. The order of lien has applied a special master fee of $250 plus $50 per day for violations against the property. As of the request for a lien reduction, the amount of the lien is $101,200 plus administrative costs. The property is now in compliance and therefore qualifies for a lien reduction. I negotiated with the buyer of the property representing the owner for an agreed-upon settlement in this case for an amount of $5,775.19 that would be payable no later than 5 p.m. on July 15th.
Any questions for staff?
The owners of this property have agreed to that. That's why there's no one present.
No questions?
No.
Anyone from the audience like to comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation. Entertain a motion for staff recommendation.
Motion for staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Item 7, request for lien reduction at 645 Ridgewood Avenue.
The entire code enforcement lien for this property can be found in the code enforcement office upon request. So the city received a request for a reduction of lien for code enforcement lien that it was placed upon the real property at 645 Ridgewood Avenue. The property is currently owned by 645 Ridgewood Retail LLC, Daniel Moon. An order of noncompliance was signed by the special master on August 25th, 2021. The order determined a finding of fact that the property was still in violation of one or more codes under Section 26.61 for accumulation of trash and litter. The property remained non-compliant until April 23rd, 2022. The order of lien has applied a special master fee of $250 plus $50 per day per violation against the property, of which there was one violation. As of the request for this lien reduction, the amount of the lien was $10,550 plus administrative costs. The property is now in compliance for these violations and therefore qualifies for a lien reduction. Now, in your original packet, I had another mathematical error, so I had corrected it on this. In your packet, it was listed at $1,769.53, and the actual recommendation is $1,589.53. I did not come to an agreement with Mr. Moon, who's here in the audience and would probably like to speak on about this, but this is typically the analysis and the process that I use in determining what a reduction in lien should cost.
Any questions?
Paid by when?
This would have to be paid by July 15th, 5 p.m. on July 15th, 2022.
Thank you. I couldn't remember.
Any questions for staff? I have a question for Brian. Are there any other current code violations on this property?
Not that have, that remain unresolved. So no.
What was the question?
Are there any other current code violations?
There
I
are.
was under the understanding there are current code violations, they just haven't gone to special master yet.
Yeah, the property has been cited for other violations unrelated to this lien reduction.
Okay, so the remaining violations on the property with regard to debris it was brought to my attention were resolved today, that Waste Pro had gone out today and had done a large cleaning in terms of the piles of debris. They were supposed to come back a second time because the first round was not adequate. So in speaking with the code officer this afternoon, he said that he expected that once that second sweep went through, and they were supposed to come back this afternoon, that the code violations would be resolved. So are there open violations? Yes, but it's my understanding that they have been resolved today, which would mean that they would have been closed today.
Aren't there electrical issues and some other code violations also?
If there are electrical and other code violations that are in addition to the trash and debris, that's possible, but those have not been brought to my attention.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone from the audience like to speak on this matter? You can come up and state your name.
My name is Dan Moon. I own 645 Ridgewood Avenue. I travel, many of you probably don't know, but I travel majority of the month. I'm either in New York, Miami, or Chicago. I'm not here frequently, but recently I've been here since I'm building a couple more stores on LPGA. But when I was told that there were some violations, I made sure that we cleared the property. I made sure we cut the trees. I painted the building last year. And the problem was that Waste Pro or Waste Management, they didn't pick up all the debris. They took a majority of it, but I wasn't there. They probably picked up maybe 75, 80% of it. There were still some stumps, trees and debris left there, and that's why I was being fined. I wasn't aware of the lien. I wasn't aware of the amount that was being charged. And as everyone knows, during COVID, this is a tough time. Restaurants are going through a tough time, and that's a lot of money. $1,500 is a lot of money from what we went through the last 3 years with COVID. So all I'm asking is, since then I've leased the property. The property's clean now, and it's a win-win for everyone. But all I ask is, due to the circumstances, let's try to work with me on this fee. So, that's the purpose of me
Vice Mayor.
being here.
Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Yeah. So you're saying you're out of town a lot, and I understand that if you're building other restaurants, and I know you've got one going on, going up out at LPGA. Do you have a manager of your store?
I do, but they don't open mail. They're not authorized.
So you have nobody to oversee your operations while you're gone
Well, I
so
do.
much?
I have several people overseeing that, but
Do they drive past the parking lot and see the piles of debris that were there for a month after it was cleaned and piled there?
that was a Waste Pro issue. I mean, I don't know why they didn't pick up the rest of the stuff. Maybe it was a little bit too much further into the property.
Well, if I may, it may be Waste Pro's issue for not picking it all up for you, but as a business owner or a resident, it's our responsibility to make sure it gets done. And if it didn't, we call them and say, hey, why? And then we get a little upset, I guess. That's what most people do. We say, hey, why didn't you complete all this? Or why didn't you pick it all up? You need to come back out here and stay on top of it. And my problem is apparently there's no oversight, or so I don't know what the dilemma is, but you came to, did you attend special master or somebody attend for you? Brian, can you speak to that, I guess? Please run us through a short timeline of how long this had been.
Sure. The violation occurred, or the actual courtesy notice went out on June 16th of 2021. We didn't hear anything. July 2nd, 2021, a notice of violation went out, and there was again no response. On August 2nd, 2021, a notice to appear was mailed out by certified mail, and posted at the property. It was posted at the property on the 5th. On August 19th of 2021, we had the special master meeting, and no one showed up. On August 26th of 2021, the special master orders were received and signed. On November 24th of 2021, the lien letter was sent to Mr. Moon, informing him of the fact that the lien was going to be placed on the property. On December 16th of 2021, the lien was recorded. The property did not come into compliance until April of this year.
Thank you. So I'm sure as much as you travel, you had to have been there a few times during that whole period of time to have received notice. So I'm telling you, Mr. Forte is being nice to you and bringing us the typical conclusion to a lien. And most of the time, I really don't have a problem voting for his suggestions. And I can tell you, I'm very tempted to not vote for this one, but I'm willing to. There is no way that I'm going to agree to let you pay less than the $1,500 because you were very aware of what was going on, sir. I know you might be busy and traveling, but there was a good chunk of time there. And I know you had to have been in town at least once a month to check on your business and you know, do what you got to do. I think this just went neglected because most people don't take code enforcement serious.
No, that's not the case. This was in the heart of COVID, right? I mean, there's
And we're giving you a break by only making you pay $1,500 of the lien. That's what I feel. And I'm not going to get into a debate about this, Mayor or Vice Mayor,
The
but
only reason why I'm here is, like I said, it's been extremely difficult the last couple of years, right? It's extremely difficult. Restaurants, I mean, I don't know how many closed or how many are in this area, but we remained open
I understand
I
it was
floated that
difficult
thing
during that time.
during COVID for 2 years.
The economy's doing a lot better now.
And that's the good news.
Great.
That's the great news.
It's great that you're opening up another restaurant.
getting
I'm
better.
happy to see that.
It's great, but.
But I cannot,
I'm just
I cannot,
requesting,
Mayor, or Vice
I
Mayor,
mean, it's $1,500.
I'm not going to get into a dispute. I'm just stating,
It's $1,500. I mean, it's difficult for me to swallow that, knowing that, you know, I've carried that property for 7-8 years. I've tried to lease the property. I couldn't give the property, I still
well, I'm
can't.
happy it's
I still
cleaned
can't
up.
give the property away, right? So I finally got someone to lease it. Again, I think it's a win-win at the end of the day.
Was the grass cut today?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
What property is it that got leased?
The old, quick
Yard?
here. Yeah, we'll
The
just-
one right across the street on 7th Street from the restaurant.
So here's what I would ask the commission to do. I would ask the commission to table this concern until the next regularly scheduled meeting so that I can feel confident that there aren't any other current code violations. When I drove past it today, the grass is 16 inches tall. It's full of weeds. I drove past at 2 o'clock and maybe Waste Management came by once, but they hadn't come by the second time. And in good conscience, I can't address this lien knowing that there may be possible other concerns that the citizens have to drive past. I know it's a tough time for restaurants, but we're trying to improve our city, one business at a time. And maybe if the property was cleaner, you could have leased it a lot sooner. But to just chop down a bunch of stuff and throw it on the side of the road, nobody thinks Waste Management will pick up that much. You have to call them and arrange a special pickup and pay for that pickup. So I'm not going to discuss it with you, sir.
Vice Mayor, would you,
Yeah.
well, I guess you can't have a motion. You need to hear public comment.
Here's the thing is I'm refinancing the property, right? And I need to know, like today,
But that's what we're doing.
yeah,
Yeah. This is all part of the process.
yeah.
Would you like a motion or?
Well,
I can tell you, again, the property's leased now. This is not my responsibility. I I have a full lease with a tenant. So he's responsible.
Actually, ultimate responsibility in code enforcement issues comes back to you,
It's
sir.
his responsibility.
Let's
That's
not,
between you and him.
let's not debate it, Commission. Let's, I think we've heard Mr. Moon. We've given you your 5 minutes of time. I'll give you 2 more minutes for a closing statement, and then we're going to take action on this issue.
Yeah, I mean, we opened up this business back in 2015, and with a lot of success, we've put a good footprint with Holly Hill. A lot of people, as I don't know if anyone remembers, but pre-COVID, we were very busy. We had a lot of the judges, the doctors, the physicians coming. So I think we got to be proud of what we've done with the city. And I'm not asking for a red carpet over at the restaurant, but we paid our dues for the last seven years, and we've helped the city, and we're expanding now, and that's the good news. So all I'm asking is, that's a lot of $1,500 is a lot of money. I'm just asking for some sort of reduction so we can continue our partnership and continue to grow and make, like you said, make this city a better place, not only for business e-commerce, but for the residents and other businesses. And that's what we want. You want other businesses to look at ours and say, they survived, they're doing well. Let's check out Holly Hill. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the audience like to say anything about this issue? We'll close audience participation. I'm not quite ready to accept a motion. I think we should have a little discussion. But
Item number 7 states, by City Manager Joe Forte, request for lien reduction at 645 Ridgewood Avenue. Exactly how much lien are we looking to?
going from
The original lien amount,
10.55.
yeah, it's up there, it was
Oh, it's up there.
$10,550 was the original lien amount. And then when I added in the administrative costs and then 10% of that original lien, it came to, without my mathematical error, $1,589.53.
So that's the total what we're asking for.
You were asking to reduce the lien from $10,550 to $1,589.53.
Well, I would make a motion to do that, the way it's stated. If I could, I can make a motion. If someone wants to second, we could vote on it, see where we want to go from there.
Anyone want to second the motion?
No, I don't.
I thought we were going to discuss it first.
Well, there's a motion on the table, so
Yeah.
if there's no second,
I mean, it's
then
already been-
we'll have some more
It's already
discussion.
been investigated by the city manager. He's already decided that's what we need to do with it.
Well,
My problem is now that Vice Mayor's pointed out there might be some
That
further
would be
code
a whole
enforcement
separate issue.
action.
That would be something totally different.
it would,
Come back on it.
but when you're negotiating, and the whole objective of code enforcement is compliance, not fines, not this. But the only way we have to get people to comply is to hit them in the wallet. And I know this is the issue before us, but I know there's other issues on that property. I drive down that road 20 times a day. And if the image is that we're supposed to make a better city, piling up 3 yards of debris and letting it sit there until it almost is rotten, it wasn't green anymore, Roy. It was dust, been sitting there so long. And is that the image that our city wants? And so I'm not in favor of even discussing reducing any lien until I'm certain that there are no other code violations there.
So if everyone is in agreement, we should wait and see what happens in the future on this.
Well, we don't have, code enforcement went by once. You got something to add? You got some information for us, Brian?
If you'd like, I have some further information.
Okay.
Contact the code officer.
Okay, come on up, please.
Do you have more?
So I contacted the code officer who's in charge of the case. You had asked if there were additional.
Right.
And there were some recent ones that I hadn't been made aware of yet. So he says that there are electrical issues and a fence violation issue. He said the electrical issue is a cable coming out of the ground and wrapping around a palm tree on the Ridgewood Avenue side of the property, and that there are exposed electrical outlets on the lighted sign. So these were just recent
Thank you. And-
violations.
And Commissioner, my point is, I know they're two separate issues, but if we don't take action on this issue, and there are open issues, I think the applicant's going to get those other issues closed before our next meeting, to make sure everything is in compliance. And if we take action on this, we may go through a long, lengthy code enforcement process all over again. It takes 60 to 90 days and come back to the same situation again. That's why I'm not asking to impose the whole lien. I'm asking that we don't take action on it until our next city commission.
Vice Mayor, would you accept a motion to table this?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to table this item to our next scheduled meeting on the 28th, I believe it is.
And I'll withdraw my motion to approve it, so we can take action on what is the up-and-coming violation.
And City Manager, can Brian update us with the code issues when he gets all the information? I'd like to be updated on that.
On the new
Yeah.
code violations? Yeah, we'll make sure that Mr. Moon is aware of what those violations are, and what I'm understanding is that you want those violations brought into compliance before the next meeting on the 28th in order for you to take action on this item?
If that's possible.
If I'm going to take action on this, yes.
Right.
Let's put it this way, I don't want to take action on this until those other violations
Well,
are.
well, two things. One is, I think we should talk to Mr. Moon and ask him if he thinks he's going to get those done in the 2 weeks, because if he says no, then you're back in the spot in 2 weeks without it done.
To table it again.
So I think that would be a fair question to ask. And then the second question, I think he's also thinking to himself is, at that next meeting, are you going to consider a reduction to what I have offered, or are you only going to stick with what I've recommended?
Or what now?
When you bring this back at the next meeting, are you going to consider Mr. Moon's request to reduce my recommendation, or are you only going to stick with the recommendation that I have provided?
I don't think there was an ask. I think there was a ask to reduce it, but I don't know what the number was asked for.
I know that...
There was no number asked.
I know that in an email, he had mentioned that he wanted to just pay the $250 special master fee. I
Well,
don't know
that
if he
doesn't
did
even cover
verbalize
our
that here
admin
this evening.
fees.
I'm sorry?
That doesn't even cover our admin fees.
No.
Okay, well, I guess, Vice Mayor, can we have him come up and see what the 2-week time frame looks like?
Technically, you still have the motion to table.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion.
So what I suggest is, how long do you think it would take for you to find out if there's any other existing code violations? A week?
I think we just found out.
Yeah, I think we just found
So
out.
if that's the case with those two items, I will have those items done in 1 week.
Okay, then,
So you'll be done in 2 weeks from now.
1 week.
okay.
Our
Give me
meeting-
1 week. If you reduce this right now to what I'm requesting, or whatever the administration fee is, I will pay. If it's 500, if it's 565, I'll pay that today. I'll pay this right now. And in return, you will have both of those items done within 1 week.
Vice
And if
Mayor.
they're not done in 1 week, I will pay the original lien. I will come back,
Okay,
the original lien for $10,500.
Vice Mayor.
wait a second. So, did you hear that, Joe? What Mr. Moon said is if we reduce it to your recommendation tonight, he will pay it tomorrow.
No, he didn't say that.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, that's not what he's saying.
No,
He already,
pay the
Mr. Forte already told me that what I owe right now is
Right.
the $1,500.
Right, okay.
And I'm saying no, that's too
Right.
much. What I'm requesting right now is that I will make sure that these two existing violations will be cured in 1 week. In return, reduce the amount, let's just say 50%. Reduce the,
50% of 10,000 is
no, I'm talking
5,000.
about 1,500.
$1,500.
Right, but we've already reduced it 85%.
Vice Mayor.
But what I'm requesting is reduce it to 50%. I'll pay the $700. I will make sure that these two additional, which is not even related to why we're here today, I will make sure those additional violations will be fixed in 1 week. If not, I will pay the spread up to the $10,700.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I would like to make a motion that we table the item until July the 28th, which is our next meeting.
June 28th.
Or, man, I'm already a month ahead, I'm past my vacation. June 28th.
Is there a second?
Now, who's going to be gone that meeting?
I will do it, so there's no point in me seconding it or not. I'm not-
We have to take action on this item tonight, one way or the other. Doesn't matter who's here at the next meeting. If there's no second, then it's going to die for lack of a second.
And then if it dies for lack of second?
Dies for lack of a second, his $10,550 lien stays in place because we took no action on it.
And if I second the motion now, it's tabled till the next meeting?
Table to the next meeting, and then we,
Well, it's got to be voted on.
right, if it
Well, yeah.
passes. If you second it, and then it passes,
And
then it'll be
corrects the violation?
corrects the violations. I would, at that next meeting, be in favor of reducing the lien to staff's recommendation of the $1,500 and change.
Yeah, I'll second it.
We're not, right, we're not.
We're voting on tabling this item until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
On the 28th.
And,
Which
you know,
John won't be
the
here,
offer,
but the mayor will.
To motivate the week, to get it done in a week and be done with it. If we don't, if.
No, he's asking that we reduce it to $250.
No, he's asking us to reduce the $1,600, cut it in half, $1,590,
Right.
cut it in half.
Administration.
About $800.
Right, and
And
that,
he's got a week to finish and get everything in compliance.
right,
That is
I kinda
not,
like that idea.
that is not what the motion is.
that's not what the motion is.
So I'm just saying, I would be in favor of that, because I know it'll get done in a week, and if not, we're gonna get $10,000 out of the deal.
Well,
At least we get in
if
compliance.
it doesn't get
We're
done
after
by the next
compliance.
meeting,
But
that
I
whole
think-
thing needs to be paid.
Yeah, but then we're back to pushing the rest of it, and it's gonna carry on, carry on, carry on.
But I think the key here is consistency.
I understand that.
We've seen some $500,000 liens reduced down to 10%. And Mr. Forte's formula seems fair. It's good that the applicant came into compliance sooner than later, because the fine would have been much larger. So I think there's a formula, and I think if we sit here and make negotiations that violate from that standard, then we run the risk of not being fair.
Only because it's other violations that we never have to sit, and most time it's done, it's a
Most of the time,
one and
these
done.
negotiations are done, Mr. Forte has them
Yeah,
done before we get here.
I don't think I've ever negotiated one of these liens.
So we got a
Up
motion
here.
and a second to
Right.
table it till next meeting.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion about it?
No.
See, let's just vote and see where it goes.
All right, let's call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1. That will table to the next regular meeting. Item 8 is Public Works reorganization.
Okay, Scott, if you would, can you pull that, that org chart up? So, if you remember, we had attempted to engage ZHA as a contract manager, owner's rep for the capital projects that we are trying to get accomplished. You know, like everything else, we picked a bad time to start doing capital projects because cost of materials have significantly gone up, delays in construction are taking place. The cost to hire ZHA was quite a bit more than we ever anticipated. So we decided to reorganize the Public Works Department, and what we're going to do is we're going to retitle Steve Youngs as the Public Works Administrative Manager / Project Manager. It's a lateral move, meaning there'll be no pay increase at this time, but what we're offering to Steve is that he go and he take the Project Management Professional Certification course, which there are also prerequisites to, and it's a pretty intense program. And that's going to run about $6,000, give or take, for him to get all of that certification done. And then in doing that, we would replace Steve's old position, which we had vacated, and hire a working facilities manager who's not only going to do the administrative side of it, but is also going to be a working manager, that he's going to be out there in the field helping Manny, helping Dennis, doing some actual projects that need to get done. And then you'll see that we actually then removed and eliminated the Deputy Public Works Director position, which was held in there by Walt Smizer. So that's going to come away. And then at some point, when Antoine retires, we would replace Antoine with a Public Works Director that has a utilities background, so that it kind of rounds out the director having greater oversight over utilities, Steve having more experience in project management over the public works side of things. So it doesn't add any additional positions, but it reorganizes the department where it frees Steve up from the day-to-day things that are taking a lot of his time and allows him to focus on project management. So
Joe,
when
do
you're-
we offer Steve tuition reimbursement for that, or how does that work?
Well, we're going to, it's not really tuition reimbursement, which is a program that we do if somebody goes to take a college class. This is a certification program that we're going to pay because we're going to invest in him.
So do we ask him to sign a contract that if
Yes.
he leaves within 36 months or something like that? he
I
pays us
think it's
back?
2 years from the date that he
Nice.
completes the certificate.
Okay.
So we'll get a 2-year commitment out of him. And frankly, this is something that Steve's kind of been desiring to do. So, you know, after we evaluated things and it all kind of fell into place, so I think this is a job that he actually wants to be more of a project manager and less of a field operations person. So I think it all kind of aligns pretty well.
Great. Commissioner Curry.
Is he also still going to do grants?
What do you mean grants? I mean, he helps out with.
getting grants.
He helped me with the ECHO grant. He's still
Yeah.
going to be involved in the
So
FEMA
he's still
projects.
going to be involved in the grants process?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's done a good job at that.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's, because most of those
That
grants.
takes a special talent.
Yeah.
So Steve wants to get a lateral move so he can just work harder for the same pay? I love it.
Well, no, he's gonna make a lateral move, he's gonna work harder, he's gonna get a certification, and then he's gonna get an increase in pay. So you gotta put the carrot out there.
That sounds good, though.
Hey,
So, and then
That's what he
Antoine's
wants to
here,
do. It doesn't matter if he makes more money, if it's what he wants to do. It's,
he seems to be kind of
Excited.
passionate
That's
about
good.
wanting to get this
Yeah.
done.
he's earned it, for sure.
Yeah, he does a good job. My greatest concern for Steve is I think he's overloaded right now. If we can hire somebody to fill the facilities manager job, that'll free him up to focus on closing out the FEMA projects and focusing on these new projects that we have coming down the road. So I think he has the aptitude to do it, and I think has the willingness to do it.
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of related, but not related. Is there any word, are they ever going to do the work crews out of the prison again?
I don't see any light.
I'm just
The end of
thinking
that
that would
tunnel.
lighten the job of some of our people.
No, we're actually in the process, still trying to hire 2 temporary full-time employees to work with the the streets department, to do the mowing there.
Okay.
But we're not getting any indication that the inmate crews are coming back
All right.
anytime soon. So,
I tried.
Any further questions for Joe?
I don't know, anything to add, Antoine? We filled the 2 mower positions.
Okay.
So they're done, so that helps. And we also filled the custodian trash collector position. So hopefully we'll start to see some reduction in the amount of trash that.
I hope so.
So that's where Kenny's been.
I wish.
I hope so.
Anyone from the audience like to comment on this situation? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the reorganization.
Second.
Any discussion needed? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Go to ordinance 2022-0-3052.
Ordinance number 2022-0-3052 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending Chapter 78, General Provisions, Section 78-14, Definitions, to add definitions and amend Chapter 114, rezoning, Article 2, Supplementary District Regulations, Division 4, Building and Structures, to add a new section titled Shipping Containers, renumbered existing sections as needed, and add definitions to Section 114-746, specific terms defined, of the Land Development Regulations, and providing for conflict, severability, applicability, and effective date.
Brian?
Commissioners, Brian Walker, Community Development Director. I thought what I would do is just go over the changes that occurred since the first reading of this item. The item was to basically define what a shipping container is, put conditions and regulations on where they can and cannot go. And some of the things that came up in first reading were with regard to, in the ordinance, item number 6, staff was directed to remove language with regard to a roof feature and to remove the requirement or the language that these changes be aesthetically pleasing with regard to skinning. So that was removed. In paragraph or item number 12, references or prohibitions against electricity within the storage containers was removed. And then within applicability, again, there were some references to roof feature, and the roof feature requirements were removed. So those are the only changes that were made, and so therefore, staff continues with its recommendation to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 78, General Provisions, Section 78-14, Definitions, to add definitions and amend Chapter 114, Zoning, Article 3, Supplementary District Regulations, Division 4, Buildings and Structures, to add a new section titled Shipping Containers and renumber existing sections as needed, and add definitions to Section 114-746, specific terms defined of the Land Development Regulations.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Brian?
I just have one.
Yes, sir.
You know, on a shipping container, if someone was to leave it on a trailer, would it still come under the same code?
Yes, because it would still be on the property.
Because even if it's a trailer, it's a movable part of the trailer?
That'd be tagged.
Well, yeah, if it was something that was there temporarily on a vehicle, then it would have to fit the temporary rules, which basically say that if it's going to be on the property in a temporary way, then it has to be part of an active construction site or there for less than 14 days. So if it's there for more than 14 days and it's not an active construction site, then it's really required to be anchored to the property. They can't circumvent the rule just by putting it on the back of a trailer and leaving it there.
On a trailer.
Right.
But a trailer could be parked without being anchored, right?
Correct. The trailer could.
A storage trailer.
The trailer is something if that's part of the business and it comes and goes, but if the trailer stays there and they want to use the container on the trailer and try to circumvent the regulations, then that wouldn't work.
Good. Okay.
Any more questions? Thanks, Brian.
Sure.
Anyone from the audience like to comment on this? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you for all your hard work on this.
And now on to communications. Joe?
Okay, I have a couple of items. First is, I believe only Commissioner Curry is going to the League of Cities Conference in August. Therefore, you have to vote to make her the voting
Guess
delegate.
she's the delegate.
It was last time.
What's the price you pay for going on vacation for us?
Vacation.
Nobody else is going?
I'm out of town.
I went to that one in Hollywood once, that was enough.
Yeah.
But the one in Orlando's nice.
I'm out.
You're out of
On
town.
vacation.
And I don't believe the mayor is going either, that I'm aware of, so.
And Val said nobody was going. So.
Tag, I'm it.
You're it.
But they still got to vote on it.
All right, so someone needs to make a motion to appoint.
I make a
Commissioner
motion
Curry.
that Commissioner Curry represents our commission with the highest regard that she, only she can do.
That's it. She probably won't second it. I'll second it, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I thought better of it.
All in favor? Anyone from the audience care if Commissioner Curry represents
Yeah.
our city?
Anybody want to go for her?
Yeah, hey, I'll
You did have one.
He was just playing around, right? You didn't want to.
Jim, you want to go to the conference with me?
No, he's hiding behind that.
You don't want to go to Hollywood.
Close audience participation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously.
Okay, so last Saturday, we were supposed to have the ribbon cutting for the seaplane base, and the forecasted weather was to
Look at
be
me.
a bit inclement, and so it was canceled. And whether or not everybody found out it was canceled, I don't know.
I did, the next
But-
day.
Well, if some of us
When I
would
went
read
there.
our emails.
It's in the
I was
email.
there.
If you-
You didn't get
At any
it?
rate, it was canceled, and they want to now go ahead and kind of move the ribbon cutting to a bigger event in October to include a barbecue contest, a sanctioned barbecue contest, and expand it. The challenge that we have is we're going to be starting the South Seawall construction somewhere probably just before that. But ideally, October 14th and 15th is the weekend that they would like to do this. So if you have no objection, I'd like to go ahead and schedule that for the 14th and 15th. And because the South Seawall project is not FEMA-related, so we're not bound by the FEMA timeline, we could see if the notice to proceed on that can be given, and by the time they get their materials, maybe they can start that the week after October 14th and 15th.
That would probably be a lot better.
No, that's
If
not
they
bike week,
can.
right? That's
What's
the
that?
second weekend in October, that's not the bike week. I don't know if that matters to most people, but
I don't-
I think it's the third weekend.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that would be the second weekend. 14th is this Saturday?
It might be a Friday and a Saturday, maybe a Saturday and a Sunday. Let me see.
Oh, they're doing a two-day event now?
It's the weekend. The 14th and the 15th is a Friday and a Saturday. And that's because he wants to do a sanctioned barbecue contest.
Oh, okay.
And kind of make it a bigger deal. So unless there's something operationally on our end, if the commission is okay with that, we'll go ahead and put a committee together and get that started. Now, the next question is going to be, is this going to be a city-sanctioned event, or is this going to be a third-party special event? That has to do with permitting, cost, participation.
Contest. What is that? I don't understand.
They cook ribs one night and they cook pork butts the next day or something like that.
Let's have a barbecue competition.
I don't have a problem with them having it, but I'm not so sure I want it to be city sanctioned.
Okay.
I think it boils
I don't
down,
know how everybody else
boils
feels.
down to the cost, who's paying for what, right?
You want to look into all that first before we make a decision on that?
Well, we need to get the date confirmed.
Well,
so
I'm
I
saying, you
start
can do the
conversation.
date. We
Yeah.
don't have to,
Yeah, right now, I just want the date, if there's any objection to that date, pending what we're going to do with the South Seawall.
I don't have
right?
any problem
We
with
can
it.
decide the rest of it at a later date, right?
Okay. With regard to the overhead to underground project, we sent the map off to FPL, showing them we're going to be calling this Phase 3 now, because what we thought was our Phase 1 was really their Phase 1 and 2, so for consistency's sake, we're just going to call this Phase 3. And it goes from Walker to the north city limits. So they're going to provide us with a kind of a high-level projection of what that cost is going to be, and then that's restricted to 10% change. So once we get that back, we'll then determine if we're going to move forward. If we do move forward, then we have to provide them with a non-refundable deposit for them to then go ahead and do the rest of the design and engineering on that. So just for some perspective, if this next phase comes back at $6 million, we're not going to have enough money to do it. If the complete project comes back at $3.5, $4 million, maybe a little bit more, then we will be able to do it. So before we start doing anything as far as acquiring easements and moving forward, we need to first get that high-level price projection from them and see if it's going to be in the ballpark, whether or not we're going to be able
That
to.
sounds good.
All right, so that's the update on that. The Gamashes went before the special master last week, and that was on June 9th, and they were ordered to have the horse removed. It was in violation of the city's ordinance, and they were given 5 days to get that done, which was yesterday. Otherwise, fines would be placed upon the property, and they gave the city the authority to enter upon the property, to seize the horse, transport it, and have the horse boarded at a facility at the owner's expense. So I spoke with Mr. Gamache yesterday, and the horse was still there in the morning. And I told him we'd be coming back in the afternoon, because in the morning he said he couldn't find a place to place the horse. So Brian and I called several boarding facilities, and we found at least 4 or 5 or 6 that were willing to board the horse, and one even was able to hire a transport company to transport the horse to the facility. So we met with Mr. Gamache later that afternoon about 3 o'clock and explained that to him, and he promised me that the horse would be gone by Wednesday morning, and it was going to go up to a property that they have in South Carolina or North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. So I said, all right, we're going to take you on your word that this horse is going to be gone on Wednesday morning sometime before noon, and if not, then we're going to take our steps to go ahead and confiscate the horse, to take possession of it. And he said if it's not going to work, he has another person by the name of Jeff Miller, unrelated to our police chief, who has a facility in Port Orange, who is going to pick up the horse today. So I got an email message from him today that he received a text from the transport that was going to take the horse to the Carolinas, and was told that the truck had a failure, a breakdown, and they were waiting for a part that wasn't going to come in till tomorrow, so they weren't going to transport the horse until Thursday, and he wanted an extension. And I wrote him back and I said, unfortunately, no. You gave me your word, you made a promise, we shook hands on it, I expected that promise to be fulfilled. So I directed him to contact his friend Jeff Miller to have that horse picked up and taken down to Port Orange before it goes to the Carolinas. So that's where I left off with him today. Now, only time will tell if tomorrow that horse is transported out, or if it stays on the property, waiting his other transport to take it to the Carolinas.
Maybe we should send our own Jeff Miller over there.
But even if the horse left today, there still could be other issues there with the smell and the hay and the urine and the...
Well, code enforcement was there, and some of the sanitary nuisances at that point were in compliance. Now, doesn't mean the next day they're going to fall out of compliance, but he does run the risk of $250 per violation per day for all those. I think there were, I don't remember how many violations there were, but he runs the risk of a very high fine being placed upon the property for not being in compliance. So the horse has to go first, and then he's got to bring everything else into compliance as far as the fence and the structures and the sanitary nuisances and things like that. So the goal for us right now is to find resolution of getting the horse off that residential property.
Like you said earlier, the daily fines are going to add up to more than a monthly fee for...
A 1 day's fine will cost more than a month's worth of boarding fees.
Right.
And we have arrangements in place if it's not gone tomorrow by noon.
We have a company where the horse would be boarded, and they gave us the name of the transport company. Then we're going to have to call them and try to secure now, it's got to go on their schedule. They may say
Right.
they're not ready for a week or whatever it may be. We have to work with them, but we do have to be in a position to order that transport to come onto the property. We're going to have law enforcement involved so that they could separate the owners so that we can take possession of the horse. And then we have to pay the transport company immediately, so that'll probably be done on a P card, and then we'll figure out how to pay for the boarding fees, which could be as much as $800 a month for full boarding. And
Once we take possession, how do we get rid of the possession?
it goes to the boarding facility.
No, but let's say he doesn't move it, we move it, we take possession of it, we know.
How long do we hold it?
How long do we hold that horse?
We are going to accumulate fines, and what we would ultimately have to do, which for any of you all remember the boat that washed ashore over here?
Yep.
We had to get a judgment against the asset and sell it to pay back our fines.
And so that's what we'll have to do with this.
So we really don't want to do all that. We just
don't
want
wanna do that.
We just want him to get it off the
Let the
property.
horse
Right.
gone, but he has to understand that we will do that if we have
Right.
to.
It's, yeah, Joe and I have talked about it, and we hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yeah.
I really don't think he's trying very hard.
I think he knows we're serious, and I'd like to believe the horse is going to be gone by the end of the
I certainly hope so, one way or the other, because I'm tired of getting emails about this.
Just remember, it's a difficult process to confiscate
I
the horse.
understand.
Like the mayor said, how long do I don't think they're going to leave the horse out of their possession and control very long. If it
Right,
is.
but my point is, if we take it, that monkey is on our back.
Hopefully for
And-
no more than a month.
Right, but the cost is on our back, and we have no way to recoup that cost.
Well,
Because
no,
we
I'm sure we
We can
do.
put a lien against his house, he's
no,
homesteaded.
but you can put a lien against the horse.
Right, but what's a horse worth?
More than
$3,000?
that boat.
Depends on the horse.
Yeah, more than that boat.
I mean, it's a losing proposition.
That's really the only thing we can do.
Right.
Because,
They don't want they don't want the horse. I mean, if it's been in their family for 15 years, they don't want to see somebody
they
show
don't-
up and
Right.
take their horse.
The horse is over 15 years.
We're dealing
old,
with
ain't worth a
special
lot.
people with a special horse.
Okay,
At this point,
It just needs to be gone.
hopefully it'll work out.
yep.
Not that I don't love horses,
Got any other good news?
but they don't
Mark?
belong in the city.
That's all I have.
You can take it to Palm Coast.
there's a right place and a right time for him.
Have anything for us, Mr.
Take
Simpson?
it to Palm
No,
Coast
sir.
and turn it loose.
Turn it loose.
Palm Coast.
Commissioner Curry?
The only thing I had was about the horse. He stole my thunder. I have nothing else. I hope everybody has a good night.
Commissioner Johnson?
What I have? I was going to ask the mayor if he would fill in for me at the TPO meeting, which a TPO meeting this month, which is very rare, is not coming after the second commission meeting because it's the
Fourth of July.
Wednesday. It's coming in between, and he's gone, but he will be back. He'll be back before then, right, Joe?
Yeah, he's just gone for a mini vacation. He'll be back.
So he's the alternate. I was hoping if I could ask him if he could go to TPO, because I'll be gone to, as of tomorrow night, or the next morning, be going, we'll be leaving to go to New York for like a week. For the
Roy, all I used to do, if I needed the alternate, is email Valerie, and she would get with the alternate for me. That's all I would ever do.
See if he would fill in for me, do it like it. If he
Right.
can't do it, I can just get Debbie to give me an excuse the absence from it or something. If
That's
not,
actually on the 22nd, right?
That's the 22nd, yeah, which will be a week tomorrow, right? And to do it, and I think, we're gonna wipe Scott out for the week too, because I think it's at least 3 or 4 of your law partners will be with me up there, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
At least 3, and probably 4 if Kit goes too, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
I'll shut down.
Who else is there?
Me,
That's it?
is it?
You're
All
all,
you need.
That's right.
so he'll be all alone. So I'll have all of his law partners with me in New York. If Kit goes, I think Kit's probably going, you think?
He should. I don't know if he will.
I know Abe's going.
He's
I know-
actually just recovering from COVID, though.
Oh, yeah?
He should be fine now, but yeah, he was home last week.
Yeah, because little Dallas is going for his baseball tournament in New York, for the one that they do in Cooperstown. He moved up a year this past year. He was 11, so he moved up to the 12U team to play a year ahead, because only the 12U team gets to go to Cooperstown for the big giant tournament up at the Baseball Hall of Fame, and also he's going to that. And his team now has won 14 tournament games without losing one straight in a row. And that's pretty much unheard of in his league or something else to do that. So far we're ahead. And the team that's playing up there right now, which they have different teams play each week, they've won every single game since they've been up there, and every time we play them, we beat them. So hopefully he's going to do good.
What position do you play?
Dallas plays shortstop.
He's talking about you. You say we.
You said we, so I figured you.
He's the check writer.
I sit back and watch Dallas, and I'm on edge all the time, and it's very stressful, believe me.
Sure.
So it's pretty bad.
Thank you,
The
sir.
Dallas plays shortstop or second base, whichever one. And then he always pitches on the last championship game. You know, so far, so good. But sports is gonna, Volusia County sports is moving to Holly Hill, believe me. That's what
We're ready. We're
what I heard.
We're ready. We're ready.
Volusia County, all the sports of Volusia County pretty much is coming to Holly Hill, except we can't do the big speedway thing. They're gonna always have that.
That's all right.
But I think that's pretty much all that I have for today.
Got any words of wisdom for us, Mr. Daniel,
I-
on this Flag Day?
On this flag day, I told you everything. No, I didn't tell you everything you need to know. I could tell you a whole bunch more, but no, I gotta get
Where are
home and
most
see
of the
my
flags?
granddaughter.
Where are most of the flags made for this country?
95% of them, China.
Oh, is Monday a holiday?
Baby to see.
It's
I got a
national
baby to
holiday.
see. No, I won't be here next meeting.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, so,
I'm leaving for
It is for all
vacation after the meeting.
right. But I will be
State has
back
a
in
holiday.
July.
We're closed Monday,
Because it's a
Juneteenth day.
but the actual holiday is Friday. We're
Oh, the
closed.
national holiday as well?
The actual holiday is celebrated on Friday because it's Juneteenth. Monday is the 20th. That's not a teen. So,
Well, somebody was asking me about why they couldn't pay the water bill on Monday, because they said it.
Because we're gonna,
we're open.
banks in the city's open?
So, yeah. All right, so I got two things for you. Commissioner Daniel and I went down and watched some amphibious planes land. I got the email that it was canceled, and I told everyone I told that it was canceled.
Tell me.
But my neighbor started
Tell her.
texting me that there are planes landing in the Halifax River. So I was at Lowe's, went down there. These are very cool planes. If that thing takes off, there's got to be something for them to do. The plane that landed, I was talking to the owner, and it's about a $400,000 toy. So they're high-end vehicles, and if there's any way we could get them to land here. The problem is, I think there has to be some changes to the landing field. There's a lot of bric-a-brac there, and they would like to pull up on a sandy beach. And maybe, I told them, I said, maybe we'll have a volunteer day and come down here and fix this, how you guys need it. But
We have to cushion the pylons too, right?
the second guy landed, broke the first law of docking a vehicle. You never approach an object faster than you want to hit it. And
There's no reverse on those planes like there are boats.
the nose of his fiberglass plane smashed into a 12-inch piling. The piling wasn't hurt at all. Oh, wow. But his plane was,
And that was a blessing, folks, because if he hadn't hit the dead center, he would have tore up a wing and it would have had more damage.
so.
We witnessed it going, oh, Lord.
It's a neat thing. There's some huge potential there, huge upside I see. And that brought me to another thing. My wife and I walk the river usually every Sunday morning. We go north, we go south. So we went north again, and I really wanted to look at the landing field area, so I'm climbing on the rocks and everything. And I look to the north of Sunrise Park, and I see this observation deck, and I'm like, what the heck is that? How many of you have been to the observation deck north of Sunrise Park?
You know what the little dock that goes out?
I'm talking about the dock that's 12 feet off the ground that every other board is rotting on.
Oh, yeah.
No, I've not been out there.
So I hadn't been to, I think I went there when my kids were like 2, and they're almost 30 now. So it's been a long time. But my point is that we have a lot of assets in this community, and we're doing a much better job of putting in renewal and replacement fund. We've got, we're doing vehicles, we're fixing up parks, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing seawalls. But I think we might need to give staff direction to look at that. Is that an asset or a liability there? Because when I looked at it, knowing that I know nothing about docks, but I would estimate it's at least $250,000 to $400,000 to put that observation deck back into working order. Several of the planks, they're 2x4s, weren't attached to anything. Some of them had one screw in them. But what really got my attention was when I walked out to the end and I looked over the edge of the dock. That's not a fishing dock because it's
too far.
it's too far from the water.
Yeah.
It's that I looked over there and there were towels hanging down, drying in the sun. And there were flip-flops down there. And there was a bicycle down there, and some guy was living down there. And there's a sign painted under the dock that says, "Clean up after yourself, so they don't take this spot away from us too. Show love for our spots. The future will thank us for it." So this is obviously a known homeless camp.
Oh, no way.
People go there and hang out. Mr. Forte went down and saw a couple down there and he called the police, and by the time they got there, they knew what was up and they left. But I don't think it's in our best financial interest to restore that dock
No, we don't even need it.
that we don't need. It's kind of like
I didn't even know it was there.
it's,
Yeah.
go down there. You,
I mean, I've been to the park many times. I
but
didn't
it's
know
not,
that
it's not in the park. You have to take the little bike trail.
off the
It dips
sidewalk.
down, it takes a hard right. And I remember my kids crashing their bikes there. But if you go to that part of the park, Mr. Forte had this crazy idea several years ago, he shared with me that area would be a beautiful place to picnic. There's huge oak trees. You can't park a car there. And if we cleaned up that shoreline and made it a white sandy beachy shoreline,
For the seaplanes?
People could go.
not so much for the seaplanes, just people could go there. You could go there and have a barbecue and have a picnic and hang out and play frisbee and football with your kids. It's a beautiful place. It's like Tomoka State Park. But it needs some attention. But I would be in favor of us leveling that thing. Because if you don't know what's there, and you don't know what's
Oh, I know
there,
it's there.
Forte was there 21 years ago, he said, because he watched the bicentennial
I used to walk the dog.
Fireworks
We
there.
just sit there in the morning.
Centennial, our centennial fireworks. So, but anyhow, I think we need to take a look at that. I think we need to have staff take a look at it, come back with some numbers. It's gonna be astronomical numbers to fix it. No one's using it but homeless people. So, that's my comment. I don't know what we want to do with that, but it's a mess.
You think it's that big to play frisbee and all that down there?
It's huge. It's huge down there.
If it's cleared out.
Yeah, but it's cleared out.
Yeah.
And if that dock wasn't there, it's
Yeah.
even bigger. And
I'd be interested in looking.
And when you walk out to the end of Sunrise Park, almost to the fishing pier, there are steps down to the white sandy area that connect that whole area. But it's overgrown, it's wooded,
Yeah, we've taken.
and there's like trash. You can tell people are doing stuff down there. But that pier to the north is, I'm ashamed to say that I actually forgot it was there. But I think we'd be better served if it wasn't there,
No, I agree.
so.
Sounds like it.
It's been a long time since I've been there because,
I mean, I may have seen it and didn't realize it, but
yeah.
But when you walk on it, it's
I don't
rickety.
recall it.
The foundation is good, the piers are good, the stringers are good, but the decking is
Well, why don't we get hold of that
completely
guy
gone.
in the seaplane and maybe he could take out a couple of pylons and that would cut our cost.
So, that's all I had. I just think we need to look at that, and we're doing a great job, other parts of the city, and need to clean that part up, I think. Anyhow,
No decision?
I don't think we should make a decision like that without the mayor being here. If you could just look into it, I mean, just a 30,000-foot level of what it would cost to fix it or to get rid of it.
It would be a challenge to get rid of because, I don't know how they put it in, but even the dock, the pier that runs across Lake Hadley over at Centennial Park is going to be a challenge to remove because it'll be easier to get a pontoon in there, a barge in there to remove it. It's going to be extremely difficult to get it out. There's no ramp into that pond. So somebody would have to have a device that
Oh.
goes out onto the actual pier and removes boards and lifts pilings up and backs its way off the pier. And you'd need something similar to
There's no
that.
water under this thing.
No.
There's no water under it. You could just drive out. You could take a Bobcat out there and pull those things out.
It's crowded. So
Anyhow, just
It'd be
something,
a challenge.
chainsaw, cut them
I was
off.
gonna say, why can't you just cut it down?
Because it's not high and dry land, it's muck. So you're not really going to stand there, depending upon tides and whatnot. It'll be a challenge for somebody to take out. So we'll take a look at it and see what, I mean, we could always get a price to see what it would cost to remove. We're getting a price on the other one, and just get an idea. And we could also get an idea on what it would cost to repair it.
Because removing it is gonna have additional costs if we're gonna continue the opening,
Yeah.
clearing out, everything else. I mean, removing it and leaving it like that isn't really gonna help us any.
No, but leaving it like this is not,
No, it's
it's
gotta
either
either
got to get fixed or torn down.
Right, I agree.
And
Can't leave it the way it is.
Vice Mayor, may I just say something? Chief Miller, we are going to keep an eye on that area now. Thank you.
All right, anyone have anything else for the good of the order? We will stand adjourned. Thank you.
That guy that left out here about that